And we are back. Cathrine,
yes.
This is so familiar, right?
Yes,
like everything, the crazy behind the scenes,
yes.
Everything is very familiar.
Yes, it is.
Do you miss this?
Yes and no. Yes, because I've done it for so many years. Maybe I just am enjoying taking the break from it and watching the others also grow in the industry. But it's something that is very dear to me, and I enjoy doing, you know, I enjoy doing. You enjoy doing. And would you ever come back? If, say, KTN today said, hey, Cathrine, please come back and, you know, be part of our team, would you ever go back? Well, in the media industry, I don't really think one would say no. Broadcasters really never retire as long as you have a voice. And you know, you can walk. You can walk and talk. I strongly believe that, you know, it's a calling. So you never really retire from it. You never retire. No. It's interesting that you say that, but before even we get deeper into this conversation, I want to take you back. What they call a throwback, so to speak. On the days that you used to anchor news, and you were, I mean, fantastic. So I'll just ask my director Joanne to just roll that clip for us. Let's watch this.
In Business Digest tonight, Trade Bank officially announces a public share issue, while KCB releases results of the second flotation of KCB shares. Vice President George Saitoti arrives back from Paris with aid pledges of 23 billion shillings in the next 2 years, and Africa Air Rescue celebrates 7 years of operation. The Board of Directors of Trade Bank Limited on Monday this week announced a public issue of 66 million shares that will see the increase of the share capital of the bank from 70 million shillings to 400 million shillings. The issue represents 75% of the equity capital of the bank, which will leave the present owners of the bank, the Kasam family, with only 25% ownership of the bank. Ian Rayner, the managing director of the bank, talks on the issue.
Cathrine, do you remember that particular day? First of all, you looked stunning. I mean, do you remember that day, or those days, and even thinking about it right now? What kind of emotions does it bring? Oh, well, I'm gratified. I'm gratified that I've walked through quite a number of challenges, a lot of victories. And here I am today, on the other side of the fence. That must be very weird. No, it isn't. It's rewarding to actually see that your work has been, appreciated over the years, and watching it now, I actually appreciate I was good. You were good. Yes. I love that, the confidence. She was good, and of course you still are. And I just want to know, looking at that clip, I mean, there's so many differences, there's so much growth, so to speak. From your perspective, how can you describe the growth that is the Kenyan media industry right now? Oh, there's a lot of growth. Oh my goodness, there's quite a lot of growth. First of all, just the IT part of it has really expanded and really helped the media industry, to now compete on the international arena, on the international platform. A lot also has gone into the personalities, the celebrities, and then also a lot has gone into the administration. Basically, the companies have now, we have more broadcasting houses. Then, when I read that story, I think that was in 1992, because we're talking about Trade Bank. That was way back in 1992, and KTN was the only commercial television station, the first private television station in East and Central Africa, because every country had a national broadcaster. So KTN really was one of the greatest pioneers in East and Central Africa.
All right.
Yes.
And looking at that clip, what, in terms of equipment, you know, I remember there's a story you were giving that one day you were reading the news and you were literally sitting on crates.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, no, I wasn't not in the studio. The studio was well furnished. You know, there was a beautiful table, and of course my wonderful seat and everything, but in some offices in the newsroom, you know, we had, you know, it was just so quick. Everything happened so quickly, the liberalization of the airwaves, and you know, I think there was a lot of planning yet to be done, but we grew with time, and it was exciting. It was wonderful just seeing that growth.
All right. And I mean, looking at that at that time, does it ever, what was like your most memorable experience when you were starting out? Oh,
when we were starting out, well, first I've talked about the bulletin issue. That just shook me. I just couldn't believe that anybody would record a news bulletin and call it a bulletin and call it news. It just doesn't, you know, it's never handled that way. That was one of the things. The other thing that was remarkable while I was at KTN was the grand visit by Senator Barack Obama then, who is now the President of the United States of America. I remember I was in charge of protocol then and also senior news anchor, and I was charged with the responsibility of coordinating his visit, and I had to work very closely with the Deputy Chairman, the CEO and a few other people, and the American Embassy. We actually had to close off Kenyatta Avenue for this grandiose visit, you know, by this wonderful gentleman. It was a remarkable moment for me.
All right.
Yes.
I can imagine that. What about those, you know, in studio, you always have those one-off days that, you know, everything does not seem to work. Did you have any challenges in terms of, you know, being in studio and everything? I remember a story that you were talking about. You were reading the news and something happened to the light. Tell us about that.
Well, we just didn't realize that a screw had gone loose, a nut had gone loose, and the light just, you know, somebody was banging on the top floor, and of course, you know, it just got you know, it started dangling and it started swaying. I could actually hear it swaying.
And you're reading the news.
Stop. I had to read the news. And those days, you know, we had very few cameramen, you know, so most of the stories were reader stories, and it was it was lunchtime.
So you're on air
I'm on
for a long
air.
time.
Yes, for a long time. So you cannot move, you can't run away. You just said the light fell, hit my head. I winced, of course, stood. But I had to go, I had to sit. You're a news anchor. It's an essential service.
Exactly.
There's nothing, you know. I mean, if the world stops, you're the one who's going to tell people the world has stopped. So you're not going anywhere. You will sit there until everything is over, until the editor-in-chief or the managing director or whoever is in charge of the bulletin or the news director actually tells you, okay, that's a wrap, we're off now.
That's the time you're off the hook.
That's the time you're off the hook.
Let's talk about family, because in this industry it's very hard to juggle. It can be hard to juggle between you know, being a mom and being a career woman who's successful. Take us through that. How was it getting your son? You're in this very, very hectic industry. How were you able to balance that?
It was quite a challenge. It was quite a challenge. I was single most of the part, and it wasn't very, very easy. But my son was a wonderful child. You know, he was just fun to be with. So I remember one time I actually had to carry him to the office.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
And he sat with me in the radio studio. That time I was working for Voice of Kenya. And I was a continuity announcer, a news reader on radio. And I had to take my one-year-old son to the office.
Wow.
And I told him to sit down and shush, keep quiet. Because I did not have, my maid, I think she was expecting. So she had to go and give birth. And that was like, I think it was a premature.
Wow.
So it was so unexpected.
Right.
So I had to really, that was very challenging. So some friends came and helped me, look after him. They heard that I had come with this lovely little boy.
1-year-old boy.
1 year old.
Wow.
But he was wonderful. Whenever I told him, please be quiet, the microphone is about to go on, he just looked at me and wondered what that was. So later on I would explain to him.
What was happening?
Oh, mommy, I hear you, lady.
There you go. You're a very handsome son, I must say.
Yes, yes.
His name is Martin?
Yes, Martin.
Martin
is a wonderful young gentleman. Yes.
So we do not know a lot about him. Actually, yes. I think that's your mom?
Yes, that's my mother. She's called Rachel. And she just celebrated her 80th birthday.
Wow.
We had brought her to Nairobi and we had taken her for dinner at the junction. Oh, she was excited.
I can imagine.
She was very, very happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know you've spoken a lot about your parents, that they played a big role.
Yes, they did.
When you're joining this very big industry.
Yes.
Maybe you can talk a bit to us about that.
Well, they did. They played a major role in that, they always try to inculcate, great values into me and my siblings, my late brother and my 4 sisters. We were brought up by a senior civil servant, who went to school those days, the colonial days and everything, and all that. Discipline was very, very important. Integrity was very, very important. Respect for people was also something that we really, and we respect ourselves, the family. We are a very close family, and we support each other and we have each other's back.
I like that.
Yes.
And coming to what you do right now, what are you up to? We do not see you on air. What are you working? I'm sure you're working on something. Tell us about that.
I am working on something, and in fact I even mentioned to you, I said,
yes.
Oh my goodness, I really don't know if I really want to discuss that here. I am yet to unveil, but I am the founder of Kasavuli Media Group Limited, which is the parent company of 5 subsidiaries. There's a finishing school for broadcasters, which is, an area I really hold very, very dear. And then there's an arm that takes care of etiquette. This one is open to, people across the divide, not necessarily news anchors, because the finishing school for broadcasters just focuses on news anchors, fine-tuning you, trying to make you a better news anchor, a relevant one, and one who is, consistent and also with staying power, because in the industry, staying power is something that we have lacked for a long time, and it's something that I enjoy sharing.
All right.
Yeah.
Is that a way of you giving back? Because we asked a couple of our viewers actually, and they sent a couple of questions, and most of them were, how are you able to impart the knowledge you have to the younger generation, young ladies who want to be like you? So that's your one way of giving back?
Well, that's one way of giving back to society, but that's also me. It's just me. I just, if I notice that you have a challenge, honestly, I won't hesitate, to pull you aside and mention to you that, oh, this is how we pronounce this, this is how you say this. And depending on my relationship with you, I would share on a few things based on your color, your height, what you should wear, and when you should wear it. So, that's basically what I would like. It's giving back to society, really. Because now that I am on this other side of the screen, I'm watching the news, and surely I know what quality is. So I would love to see that quality there. So if I can, I help.
You help.
Yes.
And what do you do when you're not doing all these great things? What do you do for fun? Do you golf, or do you...
I love traveling. I love traveling. I love reading. I cook.
You do?
Oh, gourmet.
Really?
Ooh,
what food can you cook perfectly?
Perfectly. Indigenous food, exotic food, continental dishes.
Oh, really?
Everything. West African dishes. I can cook anything. Yes.
So cooking, traveling.
My best is a Hungarian goulash. Oh, that
What is that?
Well, it's just beef, very nicely done with black pepper and very nice, beef stock and onions, tomatoes, garlic, lots of nice spices. And that's basically it, and some turmeric.
All right. So you're about to hand things over to our business anchor, Abby Agina, but before then, I want to know, what is it that you use on your skin? Because your skin, actually it's one of the questions that many ladies were asking. How have you been able to remain so youthful?
Positive thinking. One, truly speaking, positive thinking keeps you young. I always believe in a laugh a day, you know. If I cannot find something to laugh, if nothing makes me laugh, I will remember something that made me laugh.
Yesterday.
Exactly. It's a good tonic, you know. It really is, but just don't laugh alone. Call a friend. And
laugh together.
Yes.
All right, I like that.
Yeah.
So we'll get to know a lot about, Cathrine, and of course I'm going to go sample a bit of the questions that you've sent in. But for now, Cathrine, I want you to look into camera 2 and hand things over to our
that one.
Business anchor, Abby Agina. I know this sounds very familiar.
The business anchor?
Yes.
Okay.
Abby Agina.
Okay. We've just been talking to Betty, and we're now handing over to our business segment. Stay with us. This is KTN Prime.
Hi there, Cathrine.
Hi, how are you?
Very fine indeed. It's actually an honor to actually get to be with you on air. You're one of the people that I actually looked up to when I was growing up, and I just have one question for you.
Yes.
For upcoming journalists like us, what would be your biggest message, noting that this career, it's all about remaining relevant and also avoiding to be perishable?
Well, one thing I would say is integrity. That's one thing that we really must all have, and embrace. Another thing is, don't oversaturate yourself. Okay? Yeah. And the last thing is, believe in yourself. Believe in what you can do and work on yourself.
Wow, very interesting there. Well, we have quite a lot lined up for you on business, coming more after the break.